Good morning. Today, let's take a look at right triangle trigonometry. Here we go. Okay, so right triangle, that means a triangle that has a right or a 90-degree angle in it. I'm going to put out this little English language mnemonic. If you're studying this in a different language, you may have different letters. But in terms of the English letters, what this reminds us of are our first three functions: sine of theta, cosine of theta, and tangent of theta. And that's what this S, C, and T stand for. H, that stands for hypotenuse, and hypotenuse is always the side directly opposite the 90-degree angle. It is also the longest side in any right triangle. These other two letters that you see, O and A, they change in relation to which angle you're talking about, but O stands for opposite. So if this is the angle we're working with, that is the side that is opposite. And then A stands for adjacent. Well, you might say to me, well, this side and this side are both adjacent to this angle. They both touch it, help make it up, except this one is the one opposite the 90. So it's the hypotenuse, leaving us with this side being the adjacent. And so what this little mnemonic shows us is that the sine of theta is the ratio of the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. The cosine of theta is the ratio of the adjacent to the hypotenuse. And the tangent of theta, tangent, is the ratio of the opposite over the adjacent. So let's say I tell you that this right triangle is a 6, 8, 10 right triangle. Then if I want to find the sine of theta, here's my theta, opposite over hypotenuse, 6 over 10, which reduces to 3 over 5. If I want the cosine of theta, that is the adjacent over hypotenuse, 8 over 10, which reduces to 4 over 5. And my tangent of theta, my opposite over adjacent, 6 over 8, which reduces to 3 over 4. Now, what I want to show you is that if you change your angle, so let's say we're going to now work with this angle, then our opposites and our adjacents are going to switch. Our hypotenuse will stay the same. So the cosine of this angle, this is now my opposite, 8 over 10, which reduces to 4/5. My cosine, my adjacent over hypotenuse, 6 over 10, which reduces to. And then my tangent, my opposite over my adjacent, 8 over 6, which reduces to 4/3. Now I want you to notice a relationship here. The sine of one angle in a triangle will equal the cosine of the other angle in a right triangle, right? Sine is 3/5, cosine is 3/5. Same thing here. Cosine is 4/5, sine is 4/5. And then the tangents will be the inverses of each other. Let's take a look next level when you are given angle measures and asked to solve the rest of the stuff in a triangle. So let's say you're given the following information. You've got that this is still a right angle. You've got that this side is 8 and this angle measure is 42, and your instructions are solve the triangle. Okay, so that means we're going to want to find this angle, this side, and this side, and then we have everything in the triangle. Okay, easiest thing to start with? Yeah, that's right. Let's find this other angle. If this much is 90, that means these two together are complementary. Everybody remember that word? It means, that's right, adds up to 90. So we do some quick subtraction and find out that theta equals 48. Okay. Now, we're going to set up some equations to solve for x and then to solve for y. So the first thing I might do is the following. I might say, okay, I have this angle. I have this side. In relation to this angle, this side is the opposite. And in relation to this angle, this side is the adjacent. And if I have opposite and adjacent, I have the set up for tangent. So I'm going to fill that in. So tangent of angle 42 equals the ratio of 8 over x. And now I'm going to multiply both sides by x to get this out of the bottom. And now I am going to divide by the tangent of 42. Okay, this is where students get confused. They're like, do I divide by tangent? Do I divide by 42? This is a whole function. It's a number. You punch tan 42 into your calculator and it gives you a number. I'm just not going to get that number yet because I'm going to put the whole thing in my calculator. So when I divide by tangent of 42 degrees, now I can put that whole thing into my calculator to solve for x. The first thing I want to do is I want to go into mode and I want to make sure I'm in degrees because I can see my problem is in degrees and I will get the wrong answer if I'm in radians. But I am in degrees, so I'm going to quit. Okay, and now I'm going to put 8 divided by tangent 42. So here's how I do that. 8 divided by, okay, and now my calculator is going to keep this as just one thing. So I'm going to press my tangent button and it provides the parentheses. So I'm going to put in my 42 and I'm going to close my parentheses. 8 divided by tangent of 42, and that's my answer. That side length is 8.88. And I'm going to put all my information into the picture. Okay, now I have one final side. Why? Now I can use anything to solve for it. I can use this 8.88 I just found. I can use the original 8. I can work with the 42 or the 48. My choice always, because this is a rounded answer, is I'm going to go back and work with the given that was not rounded. And now it doesn't matter whether I do the 42 or the 48. Let's stick with the 42. So we said in relation to the 42, this is our opposite. And this side here, which is opposite the 90 degrees, is always our hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse tell me I'm working with my sine function. So I'll set it up again. Sine of 42 is what I was working with, equals my opposite, that's my 8, over my hypotenuse, my y. And now my math is the same. I'm going to multiply by y. I'm going to divide by sine 42. Y equals 8 over sine 42 this time. And again, I'm going to punch that into my calculator. 8 divided by the sine of 42, close my parentheses, and my answer is 11.9. I'm going to round that to 6. And I have now solved my triangle. And one thing to just check out to make sure, or to like have a sense that you didn't punch in anything wrong, my smallest angle should be opposite my smallest side. Yes. My 90-degree angle should be opposite my largest side. Yes. If for some reason that isn't working out, you did some mathing wrong, take a look at it again. Okay, now let's look at one where one of our variables is actually our angle measure. How do we do that? Same way, I'm going to start by writing SOHCAHTOA on the page because it's helpful. And now I'm going to say, in relation to this angle, what are each of these? Well, this one opposite the 90, that's my H. This one opposite the angle, that's my O. If I have O and H, I have the setup for sine. So here I go writing that equation. Sine theta, because this time we don't know what theta is, equals opposite over hypotenuse, 4 over 8. Now, what in the wide world do you do to solve this theta? Let me say you do not divide by sine. That's a unit right there. Okay, but what you do use is on your calculator, you have an inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse tan function above your sine, cosine, and tan. They are accessible through your second. So I'm going to start by going second inverse sine. And so that tells me the inverse sine of. Okay, now, what does inverse sine mean? It does not mean 1 over sine. It means the angle whose sine is 4 over 8, or I'm going to simplify that, 1 over 2. So your next step to get theta by itself is you go theta equals the angle whose sine is 1/2, sine inverse 1/2. So I punch my 1/2 in there and I find out that's a 30-degree angle. So if this is 30, I can start to solve the rest of the triangle. This angle would therefore be 60 because 30, 60, 90, 30 plus 60 plus 90, 180. Now I have 2 ways to move forward. Actually, I have many ways to move forward. One way is to say, okay, this is a right triangle. So if I call this x squared plus 4 squared equals 8 squared, right? Pythagorean theorem. Another way to do this is to say this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So I know if the side opposite my 30 is 4, the side opposite my 60 is 4 root 3. And then the final way you could solve for it is you could use any of your trig functions. You could say, okay, the cosine of 30 is x over 8, and then solve for x by going 8 cosine of 30 equals. So 8 cosine of 30 equals that. 4 root 3 also equals that. Many ways to get to Rome. Okay, so also in this unit are 3 more functions: cosecant, secant, cotangent. So let's take a moment and look at those. Our co-functions. Cosecant of theta equals 1 over the sine of theta, which equals hypotenuse over opposite. You flip it. Same thing for the rest of these. Secant of theta equals 1 over cosine of theta equals hypotenuse over adjacent. Cotangent of theta equals 1 over tangent of theta equals adjacent over opposite. Okay, a final hack I want to show you is in trying to remember which goes with which to make your co-functions. Okay, tangent is easy, tangent, cotangent. Great. Sine, cosecant, cosine, secant. The way I remember this is that each pairing has exactly one co in it. This is not mathematical, this is mnemonic, okay? So cosine already has its co, so its inverse is secant. Sine does not yet have a co, so its inverse is cosecant. Again, nothing mathematical here, just a mnemonic to help you remember. Okay, play around with this stuff. Stay tuned. We're just at the beginning of trig, much more to come. Consider subscribing to my channel so you know when I put out a new video. And as always, keep on mathing.